So I just sat down with Tomas Janu, who's the co-founder and CEO of DigiSmoothie, to talk to him about how he got the idea for DigiSmoothie and then validated it. DigiSmoothie is a company that was founded back in 2018, and they develop applications for Shopify merchants. Their applications are used actively by more than 6,000 stores globally. DigiSmoothie is completely bootstrapped. They have never raised any funding, and just last year they hit over $300,000 in MRR. I spoke to Tomasz about how he got the idea for DigiSmoothie, how did he develop those first applications, and then went about validating them and ultimately launching them to the market. We also touch on other topics such as pricing and marketing of his applications. A lot of great insights here, so I hope you enjoy the episode. Okay, thanks again for joining, Tomasz. Let's get started. So I wanted to talk in this episode about DigiSmoothie, specifically how you got the idea for it and then validated it. But before that, I want to go a bit further to your time you worked at Google for a few years and then Avast for around 10 years. Obviously, you gained a lot of knowledge in e-commerce during your time there. So could you tell me a bit about your background and what experience you gained working in these places?
Yeah, sure thing. And thank you very much for having me. So I started in e-commerce even prior to Google. I think I was one of the first Magento user in the Czech Republic. Mm-hmm. So I had my own online store. I was selling apparel, which I imported from UK at the time, okay. And it was during my studies of college.
What kind of apparel was it?
Like a fashion apparel, like some of the UK brands, mm-hmm. which weren't available here at the time. Mm-hmm. And because I was alone, I didn't have my team. I didn't have any budgets. I didn't have also much knowledge. I had to do everything myself. So Magento at the time was a very quite a technical, so required some technical understanding, which kind of required me to learn a lot about coding and how to put things together. And then once I put the shop up and running, I realized I probably need to get some traffic there. So I started to learn about marketing. And once I got the traffic there, I realized maybe I can convert it better. So I started to learn more about e-commerce. Mm-hmm. And this was like awesome for me experience because I've learned every bit from each area. And that helped me a lot throughout my career going forward. During this, I joined Google externally. So I worked with the Dublin office, mm-hmm. and then the office was relocated to San Francisco, I think. Mm-hmm. And Czech Republic was a very special and still is a very special country from Google's point of view, because it's one of the 4 countries where Google wasn't the number 1 search engine. Right. It is today, but back in 2000, I don't know what it was, 2012 or 10, mm-hmm. it was number 1. So the search market was led by the local search engine called Seznam. And Google was trying to understand why is that and what is so different from Google versus the local search engine. So they kind of started this, it was called, I think, search engine specialist team or something like that. It was very broad area of activities. So it included from kind of seeing what the competition is doing, what people are up to, how they are behaving online, to determining positions on specific queries. So, for example, I had a query, I don't know, whatever, Club Mate, and then I should report if the first result was good or not and why it wasn't good or not. So they also learned. They were trying to teach the engine to understand the local queries. Mm-hmm. And so I was like having the online store working for Google, and then the Google, it was just a part-time job. It wasn't a full-time job and it was remote, and I was about to finish the college, and I thought it's time to look for something more solid. So I applied for some marketing role through an HR recruiting agency, and the role was already closed, but they told me, hey, there's a similar role at Avast, and it was e-commerce specialist role. And I remember going to the interview, and I didn't know what I did with the online store was called e-commerce, or what that there is a role like that, and I can do e-commerce, and someone will be paying me money for that. And on the interview, I realized, oh my god, this is so cool, because I will be doing what I really like, which was like A/B testing and optimizing, and always like aiming for the better results in terms of sales. And someone will be actually paying me money for this. This is like a dream job. And I passed the interview process, and I joined the Avast e-commerce team. I think it was 2011. And and at Avast, that's where I've learned everything I know today.
Tomas, you stayed at Avast for quite a few years. What made you, first of all, have you always wanted to start an e-commerce business apart from the one you started in college? And what actually made you get the idea for DigiSmoothie? So you guys started out as a company that builds apps for Shopify stores. Your flagship product is Candy Rack. What was the process of getting the idea for that?
So I think in general, I've always been on the entrepreneurial side of the personality. So like, some people you ask whether they ever thought about, starting their own business, and some of them say, oh, never, that's not for me. And some people either started or they are thinking about it. And I was always more on the entrepreneurial side. And while I was at Avast, I wasn't like necessarily thinking what should I do, but I sort of came to the conclusion that after 10 years, it's time. And it was also a coincidence that I've met with Uri from BetterStack. He's a great guy. He knows the startup ecosystem very well. And at the time, he knew the Shopify very well, which I didn't. And so he told us about the Shopify ecosystem, and we were super excited about it, because Shopify gives you, as an app developer, a really good chance to build something, and they will help you with getting it in front of the customers. So you don't need to invest much in marketing. And for us, that was a perfect fit, because we understood e-commerce, so we were able to put together the product. And then Shopify helped us with distributing the product to clients. What we sort of missed was the development and the technical understanding, because none of us co-founders were developers. So we actually had to find someone who will develop the first app for us and help us to get it on the store and running.
And Tomas, when it comes to the first app, was it Candy Rack or was it something else?
Yeah, the first step was Candy Rack. I think the reason why we chose this app was, first, at the time, we didn't see any similar app and approach to upselling and cross-selling on the App Store at the time. And second, in general, we are trying to build solutions that help people to grow their business. And by growing their business, it needs to mean that you can put the dollar value to the value you actually brought to the client. Because once the client see this solution brought me X dollars, then he's able to kind of calculate in his head or her head that it's okay or not okay to pay for this solution. If you would be doing solutions, I don't know, for building a product page, let's say, it's nice, but what's the value of, like, you would need to, it's very hard to transfer the value of product page builder into dollars. While in upselling, it's pretty like clear, like what's the value, like you have like X amount of upsells which were generated by the app, and that's the value.
Right. And what made you think that there's a market for Candy Rack on Shopify stores? Did you talk to any customers from Shopify, or was it just based on your previous experience that okay, having a candy rack in your store improves sales. And so you wanted to make it available to Shopify customers.
It was more we didn't talk to any Shopify customers prior because the Shopify merchants, they are focused on their own business. They don't care about any other solutions or apps. So it probably wouldn't help. But what we did is we looked at what other upselling and cross-selling tools are available, and we just kind of put a hypothesis that we think we can do this better, and that's why we should pursue, and that's why we should launch it. We didn't validate it with some more sophisticated research because we were we were aligned on the vision, and that's what we believe in will work.
Right. So you saw that such services existed, but they weren't very good, or at least they didn't match what you had worked with in the past.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is you are building, there is a very high chance it already exists on the market. And if it doesn't matter, because if you build it and you are first, then in a month there will be someone else building the exact same thing as you. So I think it doesn't really matter whether there is already a market or whether you are building the market, because nowadays the others will, if you are building the market, if you are starting the market, the others will follow, and you will never be alone on the market, right? So it's about understanding what are your kind of advantages compared to the competition, and whether you think and whether you can actually build a better product than others.
That's a very good point, Tomas. There will always be competition, but it's about you finding what's your value proposition, which differentiates you from the competition.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's also a lot about the persistency and kind of doing the thing, because the world is full of ideas, but the execution is what matters. So I wouldn't be afraid if someone will come and say, hey, I have this great idea. I would be more kind of interested in understanding how they are going to execute it than the actual idea, because there have been so many good ideas, but they failed because they weren't executed in the right way, or they were executed, but the team behind them wasn't persistent enough to kind of push them through.
So you meet your co-founders, you all share this vision for developing apps which will help Shopify stores, starting with upselling and Candy Rack. How do you go about finding your technical co-founder or maybe an employee to build the app for you?
So at the beginning, it was really difficult because we were a very small team. We didn't have all the perks like we have today. We didn't have any brand, basically. And at the time, it was also during there's a lot of tech companies in the Czech Republic, and there were a lot of investments. And usually when the tech company receives an investment, they go on the market and try to find the new developers. So it was very hard for us to fight with the like flashy products and brands with the investors behind them, to fight with them over the developers. But it takes time, and that was really difficult for us. But I think what worked really well was the outsourcing. So a lot of the development at the beginning and even until today, we are outsourcing. So there are a lot of very good companies in the Czech Republic and in Europe who are willing to help you with the development, and you can basically work with them and onboard them almost as your internal team. So that's what really helped us at the beginning, the outsourced development.
So you found an outsourcing company, and it was based in the Czech Republic as opposed to India or Asia or somewhere else.
Yeah. I think for communication it helped, and occasionally you can meet with the people in person. You can they have access to our Jira systems, like whatever, so they really feel like part of our team, although they are like a different company and they have different clients as well.
Okay, so you hire this outsourcing company to build Candy Rack. What were your first marketing campaigns like? Was it a matter of just making the product go live on Shopify, and based on Shopify's existing customer base, you didn't have to do much marketing.
So just one small correction. The outsourcing development was more after Kendirect. The Kendirect, we actually found a local Shopify developer here in the Czech Republic who helped us to develop the app as a single person. But then once we launched the Kendirect and we have a couple of other apps and a lot more clients, we actually needed to grow the internal development team, and that was when we started using the external companies. Mm-hmm. And to your question about marketing, so it was really super slow. Like I think even though I read about it like dozen times, when you launch something, don't expect it will start from the day zero. But when you actually launch something, you still expect that it will go automatically and you scale from the day zero. So it was really small. It was. I remember we used to have like one install a week or something like that. Like because like there have been like 4,000 apps on the App Store, and our was somewhere, I don't know, probably close to the bottom. So how does someone find it, right? Yeah. And so it was important for us to make sure those people who find us make sure that the app worked well for them, and so we offered very good customer support, and we still do. I think that's one of the reasons why we are doing so well is customer support or customer success. Mm-hmm. And we really made sure that we onboarded the client properly. We helped them with setting up the app. We did something extra for them, and then we even monitored from time to time how does the app actually working for them, to make sure everything is working for them. And then we are from one client a week to one client a day, and then it's really slowly started to ramp up. And then once you have a few clients, like a tens or hundreds, they tend to tell someone else. So they tend to tell their friends, they tend to share it in some online community. And that would help us to build a brand using the word of mouth of our clients.
That's really great, right? It's free marketing, word of mouth, because of how great your product was.
Exactly. And I'm still a biggest believer in the good product is the best marketing, because if you need spending a lot of money to acquire customers, they usually won't stick with you for a long time. So it's not sustainable. But if your product is good enough so people actually want to use it, then you don't need to pay to acquire them. That's always a better position. So we prefer really to invest much more into development and innovating our products than to actually marketing.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose this so much was kind of necessary, right? Because you weren't funded, and I believe still to this day you're still bootstrapped. Was it money out of savings, out of your own pocket that you invested to get the outsourcing, to get the development?
Yeah, initially for developing the first step, the Kendirect, we used our savings. It took I think 6 months of one developer for full time. Mm-hmm. And then once we got the up and running, it took, I would say, another 3 to 6 months to actually generate enough revenue to pay for the one developer who was maintaining it. Mm-hmm. But then it kind of kept growing. So eventually we got to the stage that we were able to, cover the one developer, and then actually we had a budget to extend the team and hire more developers and so on. And then after a year, then COVID hit, and that really helped us to gain a lot of new clients, because everyone was moving online, especially in the US. And during COVID, it was also, there have been a lot of investment opportunities. So we have been contacted many times, whether you want to sell the app or the apps, or whether you want to sell the part of the business. Mm-hmm. But for us, we never really seemed that some of the investors would be willing to understand the future and the valuation as as we do, because we still see such a huge opportunity that we think we still have a way in front of us which we can which we are during which we are able to push the business using the resources we generate from the business.
Mm-hmm. And what does this future look like, Tomas? Because you obviously built a lot more products for Shopify customers, but you've also gone into development of their Shopify stores.
So the future is for us, it's more about diversification, because I think the best products, actually, the best products are being built based on your own needs. So every time we need something and we don't see a good solution, we go and build, or at least we talk about it, whether it would make sense to build something on our own. And that's kind of our general strategy. So we started with the apps business. Mm-hmm. And during that, we had a lot of people contacting us and asking whether we can help them and create their online store on Shopify. Mm-hmm. And we always said, well, we are really sorry, but we can help you because we are doing only apps. But the number of people were growing and growing, and we realized maybe it's time to help them. So we started the agency part of the business, which is now completely separated from the apps business, and it's basically their own team. It's part of the DigiSmoothie brand, but it's like a separated business unit. Mm-hmm. And so that's how we started the agency. And during the I think it was like 3 years ago, there were a lot of people asking us whether we have an affiliate program, right? And at the time we didn't have any, so we said, okay, maybe we can sign up for some affiliate management program and onboard those people so they can recommend our apps. But there wasn't any good solution at the time on the market, so we decided we will invest in this and develop our own. And I think by end of the year we'll be releasing our own affiliate platform, which will start with Shopify app developers, but we can easily expand it to other app ecosystems like Magento, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, whatever. So it's another space we kind of opened because we saw there is an opportunity. So I think we will be moving in the future and opening more and more similar businesses. But if you think about it, they are all connected because they are all in e-commerce, and they are all connected by Shopify.
Right, they're all connected to helping Shopify customers.
Exactly. And then it gives you sort of a really nice way of looking into the business from multiple perspectives, like from the app developer, from the merchant, then from the affiliate partner. And we have a couple more we are now discussing. So the future will be about diversification and transition from app developer to being something broader.
Mm-hmm. So this new business regarding affiliate marketing, it's such an interesting one because you were basically solving your own problem. You wanted to have your affiliate program, but you didn't find a good solution. So you thought, let's go create one. And ultimately, we would make it another branch of our business.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's how many businesses today are actually started. I think ClickUp is also a good example. I think they also started as being so they had the initial ClickUp as their own internal version for their own needs, and then they decided to open it to public.
Mm-hmm. One more question, Tomas, before I wrap this up. I wanted to ask you about the pricing. So with your initial apps, how did you approach the question of pricing? Because I imagine that, customers on Shopify aren't those who have that much money to spare for buying applications, and instead they're focusing on, perhaps spending money on their inventory or marketing. So how did you approach that?
So our general rule is that the app needs to provide enough value so the merchant doesn't have any issues with paying for it. Mm-hmm. And we also like things very simple. So some of the apps are based on the usage charge. So for example, in the upselling space, it would be the X% of the upsells made by the app will be paid. Mm-hmm. But we like things simple, and we also think it's better for the merchant to understand I will be paying $20 or $50 for this, then I will be paying 3% of whatever, and then you are actually not sure whether the app really generated the revenue or not. So we like flat fees because it's much easier to understand and also budget from the merchant's point of view. So that's how we approach it, and we also try to, because there are differences between a small store, because we have like small stores which are run by one person and they have like a few transactions a month, but also we have like small to medium stores which have like hundreds or thousands of transactions a day. And it's kind of, the challenge is how do you differentiate the pricing for your solution for a small client and the big client if you are not in the usage-based charge, right? So what we do is we charge clients per their Shopify plan. So if someone is on the basic Shopify plan, we assume that's a small client, and they will probably process small amount of transactions. While if you are on the Shopify Plus, which is the highest plan, we assume you are a bigger store and you process much more transactions. So we charge you more.
So the main difference between these plans is the number of processed transactions, basically.
It's kind of the estimated number of transactions, because we don't really like charge per the actual number of transactions. So sometimes we have a small stores on the or the large stores on the basic plans which we charge $20 or $30 a month, and sometimes it's the other way around. But it's about like being simple and trying to accommodate the 90% of your clients. Like you will never do like you never accommodate everyone. So from time to time we have people complaining about that, but you cannot do it in a way that fits everyone, right?
Okay, got you. Tomas, we have run out of time. Thank you so much for this. It was very insightful.
And thank you very much for having me, and I hope it will be useful for the audience.